Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Nikke A and we are back for another Nikke Talks. This one is going to be very brief. As you all know, there's been a lot of conversation going on with this season's Real Housewives of Potomac. We are in season 8. As you can tell, I have not been doing any reviews because it's enough stress on me just to watch it. I can't watch it multiple times to get notes and then come and do a review and then watch it back to edit it. It gives too much for this show. It gives too much. But if any of you all are watching it, you know the controversy that is going on and a lot of the attention that is being drawn to the colorism, sadly, that is happening on the show. And a lot of different YouTubers and commentators and panels and things of that nature have been discussing the things that have been happening as it concerns Kandi and Wendy's.
What?
And Giselle and Robin, and just to throw them in there, Ashley as well. Okay, because and a little piece of Karen, but the main attractions are Giselle and Robin, as far as for the lighter counterpart of the colorism conversation. One YouTuber in particular, because everybody's kind of like, the people that I watch have kind of been like, it is what it is, and a lot of people are calling it out. And even people who, like back in season 5, season 6, when the fans were calling things out that were like, I don't think it's colorism, I think it might be favoritism. A lot of people now, even if they don't want to overtly call it colorism, they're like, I can see why people would say it would be colorism. They're at least giving it that. Like, I can understand understand the allegations, because it is kind of like, when you look at it, it is kind of giving colorism. But there is one out of the people that I watch, I'm not saying that this person is the only one that has these views, but out of the people that I watch specifically, ReallyB, I think her channel was ReallyB TV. Not her video, but in her videos, she has been, I don't want to say debating colorism, but you can just kind of tell that she feels that a lot of the things that Candace and Wendy are experiencing are more to their own behaviors and not because of colorism per se. And I guess because of those views, a lot of people have been addressing her views in the comment section. And then she had made a post saying, she said, and I'm going to post it on the screen here, but it says, this is exactly what I'm talking about when the issue of colorisms comes up. My opinion is totally disregarded because of my complexion. This comment wasn't rude or disrespectful, but they dismissed my opinion, or this commenter, I think she was trying to say, wasn't rude or disrespectful, but they dismissed my opinion of the topic. That is why I generally stay away from the topic, because it's frustrating. And ReallyB, if you haven't seen her channel, and if you haven't, please go subscribe. I do love her content. I do love watching her videos, and I do generally enjoy her take on things. I just think when it comes to this particular topic, there are some things that are a little bit off, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But she is of a lighter hue. She's not completely red bone like a Robin or Giselle, but she's definitely not a dark skin nor a brown skin woman. Okay. So my response to her was, I said, well, to be fair, the commenter, but I think I said the comment. Let me see, did she post? Well, I said the commenter wasn't actually too far off. I said, please hear me when I say what I'm saying is with the deepest of love. Just like a white person, okay, a Caucasian person isn't going to fully understand racism, as a black person does, which is why a lot of them don't even recognize microaggressions. Our lighter hued family members may not be able to understand colorism in the same way our darker hued family does. It's different when you benefit from it versus when you are oppressed by it. As a darker hued person who experiences colorism as a daily part of my life, I know what colorism smells like. It is very blatant on the show. Someone who has not experienced colorism as often, no matter the hue, may not be able to pick up on it as quickly. With that said, I feel like it's better for you, as well as other YouTubers of any hue, to stop saying that that it's not colorism or that y'all don't see it. I said, just because you don't see it, it doesn't mean it's not there and it's not happening. We know how it feels as black people as a whole when someone tells us that racism isn't happening when it's clear as day. We know what that gaslighting feels like. Let's not do that with those of us that are experiencing colorism. Let's be supportive of their experiences and let's validate their pain. That includes Candace and Wendy. I hope this makes more sense. Love the channel, ReallyB, and I put a heart. She said, your comments are received. My issue is that people disagree. My issue is not that people disagree with me. It's that my opinion is disregarded. So I said, I can understand how it can feel like disregard. You are heard, but I think it is hard to give credibility when the experience is not the same. You also can't necessarily give opinions where experience is concerned because you aren't living it and may not have lived what others have experienced in similarity. Again, that's like a white person giving their opinion on racism. You and I both know that neither of us want to hear that ish. We just don't because they are not black. So for us, they don't get to have opinions on something they don't experience. Period. It's the same with colorism, with a slight twist because you are black, and I'm sure you may have experienced colorism to some degree, but most likely you benefit from it way more than you are oppressed by it. Also, look at it from the perspective of a darker hued person. We are already being told racism isn't happening, and now we have a double whammy with colorism. It's traumatic, babe, in my Ashley Darby voice, LOL. So you are welcome to state your opinions and we will hear them, but you have to welcome the perspective from the other side and realize that being lighter hued, you may not have a full understanding. So it's not disregard, it's education. So that was my response to that. And then later on, probably within like a good 20 minutes, ReallyB is on a panel with Scotty by Nature, Yakrates, Simply Sakina. There's a couple of other people, and I apologize if I'm missing them. Y'all could put them down in the comments, but they have the whether you like it or not panel. And I missed that live because I was down to Rodney the voice. Okay, I was down to Rodney, and so I had missed that live, but I went back and I watched the playback, and I could tell that ReallyB was really bothered, and she kind of went off in that live. And one of the comments that she made was, some of the commenters, they were comparing me, to white people, and she was saying things like, y'all don't know y'all don't know my life, y'all don't know what I experience in my everyday life, y'all don't know my family, y'all don't know my background, and things of that nature. And I had things that I wanted to say, but I'm like, I already said what I needed to say in the post that she made. I don't want to overdo it and put comments in the comment section of the panel, and it wasn't even on her channel because I think Yakrates was hosting last night. But something in me said she's going to make another post. She's either going to go live or she's going to make another post addressing conversations that she had last night, not just with me but with other people. Because I know how these situations go, and whether it's a white person or a lighter hued person that is black, these things weigh heavy and they become very, very, very bothered, a la Robin and Giselle. I said what I said on the reunion of, well, obviously they've been bothered way longer than season 8, but we're not gonna, anywho, we're gonna address that in a minute. Lo and behold, she did, and she posted a live, and I only got to listen to a little bit of the live because she did end up making the live members only. But one of the things that I did address, I'm going to pull up my notes here. is because she had said she had started, she was talking about some things, she was talking about the show, which I'm going to get to that in a little bit. But then she was saying that she had had a conversation with a friend, and I guess her friend was saying, had basically addressed her, as being light, and I guess was saying that when it comes to Candace and Wendy and Robin and Giselle, that she would be more toward the Robin and Giselle part of it. Say because you're a lighter skin, like it would make more sense if you were able to identify. I That's how I took it as far as what the friend was saying. But ReallyB is in the video with her hand all up in the camera. Like, I don't even think that's accurate. Like, I'm not as light as Robin. Like, I feel like I'm a nice golden brown. Like, I'm not like that. Like, maybe it's the lights. And I'm just like, girl,
Uh-uh.
it's giving Robin Dixon. And this is what I put in. And I had to put the comment. I was gonna put the comment under the live, but it went members only before I could actually post the comment. So she had another community post that she did yesterday after, and it said something like, "Okay, y'all right. I don't have the right to make an opinion about colorism or something like that." So I left the comment under there. So if y'all wanna see, I'm gonna post it, but if y'all wanna see it in live action, that's where my comment is. It's under her community post, under where she posted, basically saying, fine, y'all win, right? So my comment was, I said, here's what I will say. To try and diagnose how light or dark your light skin is gives, I'm not racist, I have black friends. Your whole vibe in this video is giving what Robin gave in part 2 of the reunion, which is white fragility. Also, I want to clarify something you said on the panel. No one was calling you colorist or comparing you to a white person. The comparison was being made between colorism and racism to help find a common ground by using something that is sadly familiar to you as well as the rest of black folks. To use your family and your background to support your opinion is the same as a white person saying, my family didn't own any slaves. Shout out to Rodney the Voice, because that's what put that in my head. If y'all did not watch his live last night, please go and watch the playback, because there is a section in that live where he has a mini colorism discussion, and he hits on all the points. So please, 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 please go and hit up Rodney the Voice and watch his other videos too. Um, but anywho, I said, my family didn't own any slaves, or my great 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 grand was black, as if that absolves them of privilege that they have of being white, or that having black family means that they somehow understand the black struggle when they move through life as a Caucasian. In the same thought, you can have family members as dark as Eddie Osefo, but that doesn't take away from the fact that your experience with colorism is different from someone who is as dark as Eddie Osefo. It's disingenuous to think otherwise. No, you were not as light as Giselle and Robin, but you are still light skinned. Being light skinned doesn't make you any less black, and nobody is trying to rob you of your blackness. But black people have to be real about the fact that the black experience has different levels. Lastly, the reason why you feel like you just can't win is because you and others like you keep approaching the topic of colorism like it's a discussion, conversation, or debate. It's not. It's education. You and I both know that a white person cannot discuss, converse, or debate racism with a black person nor a person of color. They can only prepare themselves to listen and learn. It's no difference with colorism. When it comes to the people who receive the most damage from colorism, you should approach the topic with a humble heart and a listening attitude, not to make your point or opinion heard. Love you down. So that was my response to that portion of the video that I heard. And y'all can drop down in the comments. I don't really have anything to add. I said what I said on that. But y'all can drop down in the comments and let me know what y'all thought about those things there, and if you agree, if you disagree, whatever and what have you. The other part, the real reason why I wanted to come in here and make a video, because ReallyB had started to, she had opened up the video addressing, she had said that she initially started out reviewing Basketball Wives. And then she also mentioned how when she was reviewing Basketball Wives, she was called all of these names, which kind of gave, when you're trying to tell white people about racism and texturism and things of that nature, and they say, "Oh, well, I had frizzy hair in high school, and I had to deal with being made fun of in school about my hair being or when they say, "Well, I got made fun of for being too pale," and you know it's not the same thing, and you just want to. That's really what it gave, and it's like that's the thing when it comes to the colorism conversation. Like y'all don't even know y'all be doing it. Y'all don't and y'all think y'all can have a conversation and y'all can debate. Y'all don't even see that y'all doing it.
What's not clicking?
You don't even see that you're doing it. You got your hand up to the camera talking about I'm not that light. You don't even. That's like somebody saying, "Oh, well, my great 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 granddaddy was black." So I understand. No, you don't. Get your hand out the camera, okay? But going back to the show part of it all. She had said that she had started out reviewing Basketball Wives or what have you, and how that was an ordeal for her, and then the whole thing with Real Housewives of Potomac. Red flag number one, she lets us know that she did not start at season 1, episode 1. She started at season 5. I am sorry, but I personally don't give any credibility to anybody for the Real Housewives of Potomac conversation, especially where Candace is concerned, if you didn't at least start in season 3, because that's when Candace came on the show. And I'm also not going to give any credibility to anybody where colorism is concerned with this show if you didn't start in season 1. Hello? Because to be very honest with you, because what the other thing that she said is a couple things. She said that nobody was calling any of this out when Monique and Candace had the fight. Actually, it was called out. And that's where I wanted to make the video, because I knew I wanted to leave a comment on the colorism part, and I didn't want to flood the comment section with doing too much, because I know that can be annoying. But I wanted to make this video to respond to ReallyB. And she's probably not ever gonna hear this, and that's fine. It's fine. But I wanted to be out there, okay? It was definitely called out when it happened. The issue and the problem is people were so focused on being elated at the fact that Candace, quote unquote, because these are not my words, these are y'all's, okay, that Candace got her ass whooped, that nobody could see past that to see what was really going on. And then you did have a few of us that were like, no, this is Giselle. And then when Giselle was doing all of the rigmarole with bringing in the security, and even when she would call Chris Samuels big boy and stuff like that, because I know I called it out. Like, why are you, that's coming off a little, it's coming off a little, I don't know, baby. I don't know about that. But it was definitely being called out. But the reason why it wasn't called out in the same way as it's being called out now is because in season 5, what happened between Monique and Candace, colorism or not, Monique was still wrong. Period.
It ain't changing over here.
So sadly, because Monique was still wrong, even though we know Giselle was up to her old tricks, because that heifer don't change, it didn't matter, because all of that was on Monique, because she walked into it and she allowed herself to be used and allowed herself to be played. So we had to pay it. In season 5, honestly, if we're being honest about it and we're gonna call a thing, in season 5, when it came to the colorism, we were gonna have to pay it. But a lot of people did call out the differences in how Candace was being treated versus everybody else. And it was the people, it wasn't Candace. Because in season 5, before we even got to the fight, Candace was doing a whole apology tour. And I remember everybody being like, why is Candace doing a whole apology tour? Ashley hasn't done an apology tour for telling Monique that the reason why she lost her unborn child and had a miscarriage was because she was a drunk. Robin didn't have to apologize to Ashley for putting her big old finger in Ashley's big old forehead. Robin and Giselle didn't have to apologize to Katie Ross for asking her which box her children are going to check. But yet, Candace has to sit up here and do this apology tour. That is when people truly, honestly, and really started to call out the colorism, especially coming off the back of Basketball Wives, because we were like, why is this dark skinned, this brown skinned, dark skinned woman having to do all of these things that nobody else yet has had to do? Karen didn't have to apologize for Robin for telling her that she's the ditziest bitch at the table. Robin and Giselle didn't have to apologize to Karen for ringing her bell at 2 a.m. in the morning and leaving pizza boxes at her front door. Nor did they have to apologize for free Uncle Ben. Nor did Giselle have to apologize for Ray to saying, oh, he'll be dead in the ground in 6 feet deep before all of this fades. All of the things that Giselle, Robin, and Ashley have done and said, they never had to go on an apology tour, but Candace did. And people called that out. But again, when the fight happened, because Monique was still wrong, everybody kind of just paid it and the colorism took a back seat. The other thing that ReallyB said is that Candace led the charge with the colorist comments. With the colorist accusations. She did not. The people did that. And the people did that in the beginning of season 5 because we called out like, oh, y'all really going after her? Oh, y'all really going after her? And then when the fight happened, and then when we saw her with the security and all of these things, we were like, that's when we put 2 and 2 together, like, oh, okay.
I see you. I see you. We good. Okay. We good. I see you. We see each other. We see each other. We good.
And then when it came back to season 6 and we started seeing them go after Candace mouth. Why is everything Candace mouth? All of y'all got a mouth. All of y'all say things. All of y'all say things. All of y'all say things that are, oh, so y'all can go after Candace, like with the drive back video. Y'all can go after Candace and start drama with her mom and sit there with her mom and drag Candace's music video set up when you didn't even have to be there. You could have just left. If you felt like it was beneath you, you could have just left, Mia. But you want to call her stuff, I almost cursed, I'll be trying to curse. You want to call her stuff low budget, then you want to get mad when she said your mama is low budget. And that lady was. I don't know what she giving now. But in that season, she was giving low budget. If we're going to call a thing a thing, we're going to call a thing a thing. Y'all wanted to sit up here and y'all wanted to get mad at Candace because she said your mama is low budget. But y'all didn't have that same energy when people were coming at her and dragging her. So for me, for ReallyB to say these things, it lets me know, number one, you're not really interested in the colorism that's happening on the show. Number one. Number two, you just don't like Candace. So you don't want to give credibility to colorism because you don't want to give credibility to Candace for actually being a victim. You don't want her to be a victim. So they give credibility to the colorism that's happening on the show. It's allowing for Candace to have that umbrella of victim. Candace didn't say anything about colorism until we got to the reunion of season 7. Let's be very clear. Until we got to the reunion of season 7. Now, she did like some tweets in between when the taping wrapped and then when they got to the reunion, but it was still season 7. The fight happened in season 5. Let's be very clear. So if we're going to talk about it, let's talk about it correctly. And by the time we had got to season 7 and the whole situation happened with Chris made me feel uncomfortable and all of these different things. And then after season 7, when Robin sat up here and came on the whole show and did not share her life, like, we're not, like, yeah, that's gonna get called out. That's gonna get called up. And you cannot sit there and try to say, because the way in which it's framed, ReallyB, as yours, the way it's framed, it comes off as colorism isn't really happening. Candace is just weaponizing it to use it as her defense against Robin and Giselle, and that's not fair. Because if you are really watching the show and not just watching the show to find fault in Candace, but actually watching the show as a whole, there's no way you don't see what everybody else is seeing. There are people who started in season 1, and when Candace got to the show, was like, I don't like Candace, her mouth, da 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 da, and have now seen the light and are like, nah, this isn't right. And if I honestly, really, and truly feel, if you are sitting there and you are watching this show and you can't honestly say that what's happening isn't right, and if you honestly are not able to see the colorism in the things that are happening, nobody is saying that Robin and Giselle are colorist, but colorism is an issue on the show. Whether it is Robin and Giselle themselves, whether it's production, or whether it's racism from Andy, I don't know. Allegedly, I'm not trying to call anybody any of these things, but the prejudice is an issue on this show because Candace gets away with it. There's no way you can sit there and watch this reunion, and Candace has been forced to apologize at least 3 times. Giselle has apologized for nothing. What she gave Candace on that couch was not an apology. It was an admission of nothing. She said, I meant to say, if I said. So she didn't even take accountability for the fact that she did say it. If I said it, I meant to say, he asked me. That's not an apology. And if Candace would have said some BS like that, they'd have like, now Candace, they would have called her to the carpet on that and made her go back in and come back out with something else and try again. But I also understand for people who are of a lighter hue that it can be difficult to accept that colorism is happening because the perpetrators of colorism are people who look like you. So just like with white people, it's hard for them to accept that racism is happening because they know the perpetrators of racism is white people. But what happens is, when we go back to white fragility, what happens with white fragility is they personalize it and make it about them and become ultra sensitive and say, you're trying to say I'm a racist. I'm a racist. No, I'm saying that racism is happening. And just like Wendy said, instead of having the conversation of saying, do you feel that's happening? What's happening to put you in that mindset that to feel like it's racism? No, we have to have the conversation of, you called me a racist. And in the same way, ReallyB, you are giving what Wendy was talking about when she likened that to colorism. If we're going to talk about colorism, we need to talk about why colorism is being seen, why colorism is being identified with, not the fact that it's being called out. That was the whole point that Wendy was making, and you missed it. You missed it. So my message to you is to have compassion for your brothers and sisters that are darker complected, that are dealing with this oppression and that are going through it. Because like I said before to you in one of the comments that I left, baby, we got a double whammy because we got to deal with racism and we have to deal with colorism. Nobody is trying to charge you specifically with being a colorist, but you have to make sure as a YouTuber and somebody with a platform that when you're going to speak on things, you can't just speak like, yes, you can give your opinion, but your opinion still has to be based in fact. Your opinion has to be based in something substantial. You can't just give an opinion just because that's how you feel. Well, we all feel a certain way, but when we're talking about important topics such as colorism, racism, and things of that nature, as a black person, you have to be very careful how you address those things. Because if we can't take colorism seriously and we can't support each other, if our lighter brothers and sisters cannot support us when it comes to colorism, how in the heck we gonna expect white people to be supportive when it comes to racism and make changes where they need to make changes when it comes to racism, if the lighter counterparts of our brothers and sisters can't even take accountability and responsibility to make changes where they need to make changes when it comes to colorism? Because a lot of the times, just like with white people, a lot of the times they're not necessarily overtly racist, but they can, they're the microaggressions that happen, and a lot of times they don't even know that they're doing it because stuff is so deeply ingrained in them. And to be quite honest and to be very real, no pun intended, it's the same with colorism. I think with a lot of lighter skinned people, including Giselle and Robin, and we can see it with Giselle very clearly, very plainly, that a lot of it is so deeply ingrained by how you're brought up and how you're taught, and depending on what your friend groups are and things of that nature, and just being removed and also not having to deal with it as closely as we do. And also with colorism still being very much a really new conversation. A lot of the times you're doing things that can be likened to a microaggression that you don't even know that you're doing. Just like with you putting your hand up in the camera, like, see, I'm not that like, can y'all see my hand? If you were white, that would be considered a microaggression, and you didn't even know that you were doing it. So when we tell you these things, like I said in my comment, it's not to disregard you, it's not to rob you of your own experience, but it's an education so that you can understand us. So I hope that you take the things that I've said in this video to heart, and I hope that you realize and understand that I'm saying this with love because I care. I care about black people and I care about people as a whole. And I feel like if we love each other, it's our responsibility to learn each other and to listen and to have a humble heart so that we can grow. And if we all just stay in our feelings and if we all just continue to be extra sensitive, we're not going to get anywhere as a black race, much less as a human race. It's got to start somewhere. So know, ReallyB, that I really, 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 really do love you down. I enjoy your videos. I enjoy you on the panel. I understand how hard it is to have this conversation. But just like Rodney the Voice said in his video, you got to imagine how even more difficult it is for us to actually have to go through it, and then also not have the support of people who also identify as black. So I hope you understand that. I hope that you see that I'm coming to you with love. And if you ever do get to hear this video, and if you don't, you don't. But maybe there might be some others that think along the same way that you do. And maybe they'll hear it, and maybe this will touch them. I hope you continue to make many more videos. I hope you continue to grow in your education and your knowledge and your understanding of colorism. And hopefully maybe one day we'll get to meet someday and keep doing you. And I hope your channel grows and you continue to have success. And I look forward to the next video that you post. Love you down, girl. Please rate, comment, and subscribe if you like this video. And I'll see you in the next one. I don't know when that's gonna be. Bye.